Listen, oh listen, let me tell you a story about Mama Lizzy. Big, round Mama Lizzy with hands blessed by the ancestors themselves. When this woman cooked, even the flies would pause mid-air to smell the aroma. But by the time I finish this story, you will understand why half the food in her pots always disappeared like magic. But wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. In the entire Umuora village and even the neighboring villages of Amako and Obodo, there was no cook more famous than Mama Lizzy. When people spoke about her cooking, they would close their eyes, kiss their fingers and declare, "That woman's hand is blessed." Her jollof rice, it could make a crying baby smile. Her egusi soup, it could wake the dead. Her pepper soup, one sip and you would see your ancestors waving at you from heaven, telling you to enjoy. Mama Lizzy knew she was good, very good. She carried herself like a queen in her large commercial kitchen. Yes, even though she lived in the village, Mama Lizzy had built herself a proper catering kitchen behind her house. It was a big space with industrial gas cookers, large pots that could feed a whole village, giant freezers, and everything a professional cook needed. When clients came to her compound for small events, she would cook there with gas, moving between her massive pots like a general commanding an army. But when clients wanted her to cook at their own compounds for big ceremonies, weddings, burials, chieftaincy installations, that's when she would pack up her team and go there with her portable equipment. In those cases, she cooked the traditional way, with firewood and large clay pots set up in the compound. The smoke, the fire, the aroma of food cooking on firewood, it gave the food that special village taste that everyone loved. Whether cooking with gas in her industrial kitchen or with firewood in someone's compound, Mama Lizzy was always in charge. Her wrapper was always tight around her generous waist, her headscarf was always colorful and proud, and her wooden spoon was her royal staff. She had two assistants, Ngozi and Blessing, who followed her around like loyal subjects, chopping, stirring, and keeping their mouths shut. But Mama Lizzy had a secret partner in crime. His name was Emeka, her junior brother who drove a beat-up pickup truck. Emeka was a skinny man with shifty eyes who was always available whenever Mama Lizzy had a catering job. He would lurk around the corner of wherever she was cooking, pretending to be a random passerby, waiting for the signal. Now let me tell you Mama Lizzy's secret. The woman was a thief. Yes, I said it, a big professional thief. But she didn't steal money or jewelry. No. Mama Lizzy stole food. Plenty food. Mountains of food. Rice, meat, soup, stew, everything. But if you asked her, she would look at you with innocent eyes and say, "Stealing? Me? God forbid. I'm just sampling to make sure the quality is good for my clients." Sampling. That's what she called it. As if making entire coolers of food disappear was normal sampling behavior. Let me paint you a picture of how Mama Lizzy operated. Chief Okafor hired her to cook for his daughter's wedding. 200 guests, 6 big cows, 50 bags of rice, dozens of chickens, enough food to feed the whole village twice. Chief Okafor was a generous man who wanted the best for his daughter's special day. Mama Lizzy arrived at Chief Okafor's compound at 5 a.m. with her team. The meat had been cut into nice, generous pieces, beautiful chunks of beef, goat meat, and chicken, all arranged in large basins. The rice was measured and ready. Everything was set. "Ngozi, Blessing, light the firewood. We have work to do," Mama Lizzy commanded, clapping her hands. While the girls rushed around preparing the pots, Mama Lizzy was already planning. She had brought 7 large coolers with her. For serving the food, she had told Chief Okafor's wife. But that was a lie. Those coolers were part of her master plan. As the cooking started, Mama Lizzy walked like a woman possessed. The rice was cooking in enormous pots. The meat was boiling. The aroma filled the entire compound. Everything seemed normal. Perfect even. But around 10 a.m., when the food was halfway done, Emeka appeared at the back gate, whistling casually, like he was just passing by.
He caught Mama Lizzy's eye and nodded slightly. The operation had begun. Ngozi, Blessing, go and fetch more water from the well. We're running low. But Mama, we just fetched water, Blessing started to say. Did I ask you if we just fetched water? I said go and fetch more. Are you deaf? The girls hurried off with their buckets, leaving Mama Lizzy alone with the pots. The moment they were out of sight, Mama Lizzy moved with surprising speed for a woman of her size. She grabbed one of the large coolers, opened the meat pot, and began scooping generous amounts of cooked meat into the cooler. Pounds and pounds of beef, goat meat, and chicken, all arranged in large basins. She walked quickly, efficiently, like a professional thief, which technically she was. When the cooler was full, she dragged it to the back gate and handed it over to Emeka, who had his truck parked just outside. "This one is heavy, oh," Emeka whispered, struggling with the weight. "Stop complaining and move fast. They will soon come back," Mama Lizzy hissed. Emeka loaded the cooler into his truck and disappeared just as Ngozi and Blessing were returning with the water. "Ah, good, you are back. Now, start chopping more onions for the stew," Mama Lizzy ordered, breathing normally as if she hadn't just stolen half the meat. This happened again at noon. "Go and help arrange the chairs in the ceremony area," Mama Lizzy sent her assistants away. Another cooler full of rice disappeared into Emeka's truck. Then again at 2 p.m., "Go and sweep the compound." Another cooler of meat vanished. By the time the food was ready to be served, Mama Lizzy had cooked in 7 large coolers. But mysteriously, only 4 coolers made it to the serving table. 3 coolers had somehow evaporated into thin air and were now safely stored at Mama Lizzy's house, thanks to Emeka's shuttle service. The guests ate and enjoyed the food. It was delicious as always. But as people were eating, Chief Okafor noticed something strange. "Wife," he whispered to his wife, "I provided enough food for 200 guests with plenty leftovers. But look, the servers are already telling some people that the rice is finishing. How is this possible?" His wife frowned. "I don't understand though. I saw Mama Lizzy cook plenty rice this morning. Maybe people are eating too much." Chief Okafor looked around at his guests. Nobody seemed to be eating excessively. Most people had normal portions. So where did all the food go? After the ceremony, when Chief Okafor was settling accounts with Mama Lizzy, he mentioned his confusion. "Mama Lizzy, I provided 6 cows and 50 bags of rice, but it seems like we barely had enough. What happened?" Mama Lizzy didn't even blink. She straightened her headscarf, adjusted her wrapper, and looked Chief Okafor straight in the eye with the confidence of a pastor on Sunday. "Chief, I have to tell you the truth," she said seriously, shaking her head sadly. "That cow seller cheated you. Those cows were just big balloons with nothing inside, all bone and air. And that rice seller too, I suspect he gave you old rice that absorbed too much water during cooking and expanded, making it look like plenty when it wasn't. These market people, they see that someone is having a big ceremony and they bring their worst products. Next time, Chief, let me help you buy the food items myself. I know the honest sellers." Chief Okafor believed her. Why wouldn't he? Mama Lizzy spoke with such authority, such conviction. Plus, the food had tasted amazing. The guests had praised it all evening. So he nodded sadly and made a mental note to change his suppliers. What Chief Okafor didn't know was that Mama Lizzy had gone home that night to find 3 large coolers waiting for her in her kitchen, delivered earlier by Emeka. Enough meat and rice to feed her entire extended family for weeks. This was Mama Lizzy's pattern. Every single event, every single time. Weddings, burial ceremonies, naming ceremonies, church programs, birthday parties. It didn't matter. She would show up with her coolers, cook delicious food, send her assistants on random errands at strategic times, and Emeka would appear like a ghost to cart away coolers full of stolen food. Her excuses were legendary and creative. This goat had spiritual problems. It was too thin, that's why the meat finished. These chickens were not fed well. Look how small they were. The rice was old. It didn't swell properly. That's why it looked like small quantity. The cow must have been sick. Very little meat came from it. Your yam was not good quality. It broke too much during cooking. We lost half of it. And people believed her every single time because Mama Lizzy was so confident, so authoritative. Plus, how could they argue with her when the food tasted so good? Maybe she was right. Maybe the food quality was poor and her magical cooking skills just made it edible. Her assistants, Ngozi and Blessing, suspected something was wrong, but they dare not say anything. They had noticed how coolers would mysteriously disappear when they were sent on errands. They had seen Emeka lurking around too many times for it to be a coincidence, but they valued their jobs too much to speak up. The one time Blessing tried to mention something, Mama Lizzy had silenced her immediately. It happened during a church anniversary. Blessing had been counting the coolers that morning, 7 coolers full of rice. But during serving, only 4 coolers appeared at the table. Mama, Blessing whispered carefully, I think we are missing some coolers of rice. We cooked in 7, but...
Mama Lizzy turned slowly, her wooden spoon raised like a weapon. Blessing, did I hire you to count coolers or to serve food? Do you know how many years I have been cooking? Do you know how many events I have catered? Are you trying to say that I, Mama Lizzy, am a thief? No, Mama, I was just... Exactly. So when I'm working, your job is to do what I tell you and keep your mouth shut. Unless you want to go and find another job. There are plenty girls looking for work. In fact, I heard that Mama Daisy is looking for an assistant. Should I call her for you? No, Mama, I'm sorry. Blessing never mentioned the coolers again. Neither did Ngozi. They would just watch silently as Emeka's truck would be parked suspiciously close to whatever venue they were cooking at, and they would pretend not to notice when Mama Lizzy sent them away at convenient times. Emeka, too, had learned to play his part perfectly. He would dress casually, like a regular person going about his business. Sometimes, he would pretend to be selling something. Pure water. Cold, pure water, he would shout, walking past the venue with his cooler on his head, except inside that cooler was usually empty bottles. The real cooler, the one full of stolen food, would be loaded into his truck parked around the corner. One time, at a big burial ceremony, Emeka got creative. He came dressed as a clergyman, complete with a white collar and a Bible. He walked into the compound looking sober, like he was there to pray for the deceased. Nobody questioned him. Who would question a man of God? He blessed Mama Lizzy loudly. May the Lord bless your hands, sister. Collected 2 coolers of jollof rice and chicken from the back, loaded them into his church van, and drove off while people thought he was leaving to attend another church service. Mama Lizzy was so proud of that particular scheme that she gave Emeka an extra payment. You see, this is why I work with you. You have sense, not like those useless people who don't know how to be smart.
Now, let me tell you about Emeka and Mama Lizzy's arrangement. Emeka was not just her partner in crime, he was her junior brother. And both of them, they didn't sell the stolen food though. No. They took everything home to eat. You see, Mama Lizzy had 6 children at home, 6 hungry mouths to feed. And her husband, Papa Chidi, never questioned where all the meat and rice came from. Every evening, Mama Lizzy would come home from a catering job and her freezer would be packed full. Her children would jump for joy. Mama is back! Mama is back! We're eating meat tonight! They ate like kings and queens, those children. Beef today, goat meat tomorrow, chicken the day after, jollof rice that other people paid for, fried rice meant for somebody's wedding guest, all of it ending up in Mama Lizzy's family pot. As for Emeka, he would take his own share to his house. He had 4 children and a wife who also never asked questions. When Emeka would arrive home with coolers full of food, his wife would just smile and start dishing it out. "Emeka, you are a good provider," she would say, not knowing that her husband was actually a professional food thief. Emeka would often call his sister after a successful operation. "Mama Lizzy, sister me, I like this your business, oh," or let me say our business. "See as my children don't they fat like Christmas goat. My wife self don't they look at me with respect. She thinks I'm working hard to provide all this food. If only she knew that we're just collecting from people who have too much." Mama Lizzy would laugh. "Emeka, you are a foolish man, but you are my foolish brother. Just make sure you don't get careless, oh. Always park your truck far from the venue. Always have an excuse ready if someone asks questions. Yes, sister, I have learnt well from the master."
And so they continued, brother and sister, feeding their families with other people's food, living well without spending money on groceries. Life was very sweet for Mama Lizzy and Emeka. They had perfected their system. They had never been caught. They thought they were untouchable. But then came the birthday party that changed everything. Before I tell you about Madam Chinyere, let me first tell you about little Adaize's birthday party. This one will shock you. Chief Okoro hired Mama Lizzy to cook for his daughter Adaize's 6th birthday party. It was a small event, just 50 children and their parents. Chief Okoro provided 2 big chickens, 3 large bowls of rice, some vegetables, and a beautiful birthday cake that cost 30,000 naira. The cake was a pink princess castle with dolls and everything. Beautiful. "Mama Lizzy," Chief Okoro said, "this is my only daughter's birthday. Make the food special, but don't overdo it. It's just children and a few adults." "Yes, sir. Don't worry. Everything will be perfect," Mama Lizzy assured him. On the day of the party, Mama Lizzy arrived with her team. She looked at the ingredients and almost laughed. Just 2 chickens, 3 bowls of rice. This was too small for her to call Emeka. She would handle this one herself. As she cooked, the children were playing in the compound, excited for the party. The cake sat on a special table covered with a glass case, waiting for the birthday girl to blow out her candles. Mama Lizzy cooked the chicken stew, fried the rice, and everything smelled delicious. But then her eyes kept wandering to that cake, that beautiful, expensive cake, pink and white with cream roses. Her mouth started watering. "Just a small taste," she whispered to herself. "Nobody will notice." When Chief Okoro's wife went inside to change clothes, and while Ngozi and Blessing were busy setting up the tables, Mama Lizzy moved quickly. She lifted the glass case, took a spoon and scooped out a large chunk of cake from the back where nobody would immediately see. She ate it quickly. Delicious. The cake was so soft, so sweet. "Just one more small piece," she told herself. She scooped again and again. Before she knew it, she had eaten about a quarter of the cake. Panicking now, she tried to rearrange the remaining cake to hide the missing parts. She pushed the dolls to cover the gaps. She turned the cake around so the damaged side was facing the back. Then she quickly covered it with the glass case and went back to her cooking, her heart pounding. But that wasn't enough for Mama Lizzy. When the party was over and she was packing up, she saw that there was still half a cake left. The children had eaten the other half. Chief Okoro's wife had wrapped it, planning to save it for the next day. Mama Lizzy's greedy mind started working. "These people won't even notice," she thought. While everyone was busy saying goodbye to the last guests, Mama Lizzy grabbed the wrapped cake and stuffed it into her bag. A 6-year-old's birthday cake. She stole it. That evening, Mama Lizzy's children were eating the stolen birthday cake. "Mama, where did you get this cake? It's so sweet," her youngest daughter asked. "Don't ask questions, just eat," Mama Lizzy replied. But the next day, Chief Okoro's wife called her furious. Mama Lizzy, where is my daughter's birthday cake? I kept it in the kitchen yesterday, but this morning it's gone. Did you see it when you were packing up? Mama Lizzy's heart jumped, but she kept her voice steady. Cake, Ma? I didn't see any cake, oh. Maybe the house help took it. You know how these house helps are. They like to steal food. My house help has been with me for 5 years. She's never stolen anything. Are you sure you didn't see it? I'm very sure, Ma. Maybe check with the people who came to help you clean up after the party. Chief Okoro's wife hung up, still suspicious, but she had no proof. But she told her friends about the missing cake, and her friend told other friends, and slowly people started to notice a pattern with Mama Lizzy's catering jobs. And so, Mama Lizzy continued her reign of theft across the entire region. The stolen birthday cake was just another item on a very long list. She and Emeka had perfected their system. They had never been truly caught. They thought they were untouchable. Until the day Mama Lizzy met Madam Chinyere. Madam Chinyere was not from their village. She had just moved to Umuora from the city, and she was organizing a big party for her mother's 80th birthday. She had heard about Mama Lizzy's excellent cooking and hired her immediately. I want the best food, Madam Chinyere said firmly during their first meeting. I'm providing 3 full cows, 4 goats, 50 chickens, and 30 bags of rice. I want every guest to eat until they cannot walk. You understand? Yes, madam. Leave everything to me, Mama Lizzy assured her, already calculating in her mind how many coolers of food she could steal. With this much food, she could fill at least 5 coolers. 5! Her eyes sparkled with greed. Good, Madam Chinyere said. Then she added something that made Mama Lizzy's heart skip a beat. And I will be there throughout the cooking. I want to learn from the best. I might even help you cook. Mama Lizzy's smile froze on her face. Oh, madam, you don't need to do that. I'm sure you have other things to attend to. The decorations, the guests. No, my sisters are handling all of that. I specifically cleared my schedule to cook with you. I've always wanted to learn from the famous Mama Lizzy. This is a dream come true. Mama Lizzy left that meeting with a knot in her stomach. A client who wanted to stay and watch? This was a disaster. How would she and Emeka operate? How would she steal the food? But Mama Lizzy was not one to give up easily. She called Emeka that evening. We have a problem, she told him. This new client wants to stay and watch me cook. Emeka scratched his head. That's bad. But don't worry, we've handled difficult situations before. We'll find a way. We better. Because this is big money, Emeka. Big money and big food. I'm not about to let it slip away. On the day of the party, Mama Lizzy arrived at Madam Chinyere's compound with her team and her 7 coolers. She had a plan. She would be extra nice to Madam Chinyere, make her comfortable, and then gradually convince her to go rest inside the house while the professionals handled the cooking. Simple. But Madam Chinyere was not simple. The woman arrived at the cooking area at 5:30 a.m., even before Mama Lizzy finished setting up. She was wearing a simple wrapper and blouse, ready to work. Good morning, Mama Lizzy. I'm so excited. Where should I sit or should I stand? What can I help with? Oh, madam, you don't need to help. Just sit here and relax. Relax? No, I didn't come here to relax. Put me to work. Should I wash the rice? Chop vegetables? Tell me. Mama Lizzy forced a smile. Okay, madam, you can help wash the rice. Madam Chinyere began washing rice with enthusiasm, chatting happily with Ngozi and Blessing. Meanwhile, Mama Lizzy was sweating. How would she execute her plan with this woman right here, walking alongside them? At 8 a.m., Emeka drove past the compound in his truck, slowly, waiting for a signal. Mama Lizzy saw him, but couldn't do anything. Madam Chinyere was right there, chopping onions and asking a million questions. Mama Lizzy, how much pepper do you put in your stew to make it so sweet? How long do you boil the meat before frying it? What's your secret ingredient? Emeka drove around the block and came back 20 minutes later. Still, Mama Lizzy couldn't signal him.
Madam Chinyere had now moved to stirring the rice pot, standing right next to where Mama Lizzy had planned to pack her first cooler of stolen goods. By 10 a.m., Mama Lizzy was getting desperate. She needed to get rid of this woman, even just for 30 minutes. That's all she needed. 30 minutes and she could load at least 2 coolers. Madam, you must be tired by now. Why don't you go inside and rest small? All this smoke is not good for your skin, oh.
Madam Chinyere laughed. Tired? Me? I'm just getting started. Besides, my skin is already spoiled by city pollution. Small smoke won't kill me. I'm enjoying this so much. Mama Lizzy tried a different approach. But madam, your guests will soon start arriving. Shouldn't you go and get dressed, put on makeup? My sisters will tell me when guests start arriving. Don't worry about me, Mama Lizzy. Focus on your cooking. I'll just be here helping and learning. Helping and learning. Those words sounded like a prison sentence to Mama Lizzy. At noon, Emeka drove past again, this time parking his truck at the far end of the street and walking toward the compound, pretending to be a random person looking for directions. He approached Mama Lizzy during a moment when Madam Chinyere had gone to use the toilet. "Mama, wetin dey happen? I don dey drive round since morning," he whispered urgently. "This woman is stuck to me like glue. She won't leave," Mama Lizzy hissed back. "Abeg, try something. My fuel is finishing, oh." "Excuse me, can I help you?" Madam Chinyere's voice came from behind them. Both Mama Lizzy and Emeka jumped like they had been electrocuted. "Oh, madam, this is my brother. He came to greet me," Mama Lizzy stammered. Madam Chinyere smiled pleasantly at Emeka. "Oh, your brother? Nice to meet you. But sorry, oh, we are very busy here. Maybe you can come back after the party to greet her properly." Emeka nodded quickly and practically ran out of the compound. Mama Lizzy watched him go with despair in her heart. There went her transportation. As the afternoon wore on, the food was finally ready. 7 large coolers full of delicious jollof rice, fried rice, egusi soup and meat. The aroma was incredible. Everything was perfect. But all 7 coolers were sitting right there in the open, and Madam Chinyere was standing guard over them like a soldier. "Wonderful!" Madam Chinyere exclaimed, clapping her hands. "Look at all this food. 7 coolers. Exactly what we need. Ngozi, Blessing, help me carry these coolers to the 7th table. All 7 of them. Let's make sure they are all there so the guests can eat well." Mama Lizzy felt her heart sink to her stomach as she watched Madam Chinyere personally supervise the transportation of all 7 coolers to the 7 area, where they were placed on a long table in full view of everyone. There was no opportunity to hide any, no chance to signal Emeka, nothing. The guests arrived and the party began. And oh, the food. There was so much food. People ate until they were groaning. Some people went for second helpings. Some even went for third helpings. And still, there was food left over. "Madam Chinyere, this party is too much. See food though. You really provided for your mother. This is how parties should be. Nobody is going home hungry today." Even Chief Okafor, who was among the guests, sat at his table in shock. He was eating his 3rd piece of meat and there was still more in his plate. "Wife, can you see this? 3 full pieces of meat. 3. When Mama Lizzy cooked for our daughter's wedding with the same amount of cows, people were lucky to get 1 small piece. How come Madam Chinyere's food is so plenty?" His wife looked equally confused. "I don't understand though. It's the same Mama Lizzy that cooked both events. Maybe Madam Chinyere's cows were better quality." At the end of the party, there were actually leftovers. Leftovers! Madam Chinyere packaged them and distributed them to the elderly guests to take home. Mama Lizzy stood there watching, her eye twitching with frustration. All that food that should have been sitting in her kitchen right now was being given away to random old people.
When it was time to settle accounts, Madam Chinyere paid Mama Lizzy her full cooking fee with a warm smile. "Thank you so much, Mama Lizzy. The food was perfect. Everyone ate well. Look, we even had leftovers. This is wonderful." "Yes, madam. I'm glad you are satisfied," Mama Lizzy said through gritted teeth. As Mama Lizzy was about to leave, Madam Chinyere walked her to her car. And then, just as Mama Lizzy was about to get in, Madam Chinyere leaned in close and whispered,
"Mama Lizzy, I know your game. My sister-in-law hired you 2 years ago for her wedding. She provided plenty food, but somehow half of it disappeared. She told me how you operate, how coolers mysteriously vanish, how a man with a truck is always lurking nearby. That's why I stayed with you all day today. Every single cooler we packed this morning made it to the serving table. Every single one. Not one disappeared into your house or into that your cousin's truck." Mama Lizzy's mouth fell open like a fish gasping for air. "And let me tell you something else," Madam Chinyere continued, her voice still calm and pleasant. "I counted everything. 3 cows, 4 goats, 50 chickens, 30 bags of rice. I know exactly how much food those ingredients should produce. And guess what? Today, we got exactly that much food. Imagine that. When the client is watching, suddenly the cows are not balloons. Suddenly, the rice is not old and spoiled. Funny how that works, isn't it?" Mama Lizzy tried to speak, but no words came out. "I'm not going to report you. That's between you and your God. But I will tell you this. People are talking. They are starting to notice the pattern. Today, you cooked honestly for the first time in years. And look how much food we had. People ate plenty. There were even leftovers. This is what happens when all the food you cook actually reaches the people who paid for it. Think about that." With that, Madam Chinyere smiled sweetly, waved goodbye, and walked back to her party, leaving Mama Lizzy standing by her car in shock. The drive home was silent. Mama Lizzy's assistants, Ngozi and Blessing, sat in the back seat, trying not to smile. They had heard every word. They had seen Mama Lizzy finally meet her match. The next day, Emeka came to Mama Lizzy's house expecting to collect his share of the loot. "Mama Lizzy, how market? How many coolers we carry?" Mama Lizzy looked at him with tired eyes. "0 coolers, Emeka. We carried 0 coolers." "0 care? What happened? The woman not allow you cook?" "The woman cooked with me from beginning to end. She didn't leave my side for 1 second. That woman watched me like a hawk watching a chick. I couldn't breathe, talk less of stealing food." Emeka sat down heavily on a chair. This is bad for business. "And it's going to get worse," Mama Lizzy said, "because people are starting to talk. Chief Okafor was at the party yesterday. He saw how much food there was and started asking questions about his own daughter's wedding. The news spread through the village faster than a bushfire. Within days, everyone knew that Madam Chinyere had stayed and watched Mama Lizzy cook, and miraculously, there had been plenty food with even leftovers. People started putting 2 and 2 together. So when Mama Lizzy is supervised, suddenly there's enough food? I knew it. I knew something was wrong when she cooked for my son's wedding. That woman has been stealing from us for years. And what about that her cousin with the truck? I always see him around when she's cooking." One evening, about a month after Madam Chinyere's party, Mama Lizzy was sitting in her compound, tired from an honest day's work of cooking for a wedding without stealing anything. Ngozi and Blessing were packing up the equipment. "Mama, the clients were very happy today," Ngozi said carefully. "They said they've never seen so much food at a wedding before." Mama Lizzy grunted but said nothing. "And they gave you an extra tip for doing such good work," Blessing added. It was true. When clients saw that all their food actually made it to their guests, they were so happy that they gave Mama Lizzy extra money. Not as much as she used to steal, of course, but something. Mama Lizzy looked at her assistants. "You two knew all along, didn't you?"
About the coolers, Ngozi and Blessing exchanged glances. Yes, Mama, they finally admitted. Why didn't you say anything? We needed the work, Mama, and we were afraid. Mama Lizzy nodded slowly. She understood. She had created an atmosphere of fear to protect her stealing. Well, she said finally, those days are over. From now on, we cook honestly. All the food goes to the clients. No more tricks. No more Emeka with his truck. We cook good food. People enjoy it. We collect our pay and we go home. Simple. Yes, Mama, they chorused, though they couldn't hide their relief.
And so, Mama Lizzy learned her lesson. She still cooks today. She's still the best cook in Africa. Her food is still delicious. And now, when you hire her, all 7 coolers she packs will make it to your serving table. All of them. Every single one. Because people are watching. Always watching. And somewhere in the village, Emeka is now driving a legitimate taxi service, no longer waiting around corners to collect stolen coolers of food. If you need catering services for your December celebration, call Mama Lizzy. She is ever ready. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and comment Merry Christmas in advance.